Welcome to Smarter Circuits, the podcast. I'm your host, Ian Klein. And today, first off, I do apologize for not releasing the podcast episode on Friday for this week. It was a rough day. Not going to get into it. Sorry, it's here now. What I want to talk about in this episode, I want to talk about our defining concept of automation, or our definition of the concept of automation. And what I mean by that is, in the context in which we normally use the word, it's home automation, it's IoT, it's that kind of thing. But there's so much more to it. And a lot of people think that automation is simply something that saves time, which is impossible. You can't save time because you can't spend it later. So what you can do is you can condense the amount of activity in any given time frame, which sort of feels like the same thing, but it's not quite. What it is doing, though, or what it should be doing, is improving your quality of life by taking away something that is, maybe just aggravating even, right? Or difficult, flat out difficult. Automation can make a lot of things easier. That is sort of the point of technology in general. So, whenever I talk about automation, I am talking about something that improves your quality of life. So, and this is a very blurry line, I guess, right? And I want to talk about the line between useful and unnecessary for a moment, because there isn't one. Or more accurately, everybody has a different one, and sometimes they have a different one depending on the circumstances or time of day. So we just have to be honest with ourselves as to whether or not the thing that we're doing is improving our quality of life, and also at what cost. That is something that I definitely want to stress on my channel at all times. I long for the days when you could go to Radio Shack, get a component, and fix whatever it was that was broken. I hate disposable electronics because it just seems stupid. Why waste so much when you don't have to? It makes some things more convenient for some people, but the people that it makes things more convenient for shouldn't be convenienced nearly as much as they are. So, that's a long way of saying, I don't care. Go back to having TV repair shops, appliance repair shops, because the world would just be better. Everything would be better if you offered quality products and only had to sell component pieces so that people could maintain their own products. You would not have to buy the other components. So there's always some sort of trade there. And I'm really, I would love to see the world go back in that direction. Anyway, that was a bit of a tangent. Going back to the concept of automation, the necessary and unnecessary, I am going to often talk about my opinions about what is necessary or unnecessary. I have a very strong feeling about one particular automation. I use air quotes for those of you who are not watching the video, because it grates at me. Internet connected refrigerator. Really? Did we need to waste that much on that thing? Let's talk about refrigerators for just a moment. Refrigerators are definitely smarter circuits. It's a box that keeps your food cold. More accurately, it is a box that pumps heat out of the air around your food and therefore your food, and keeps it at a low enough temperature that the things that will make you sick cannot make you sick, propagate. So there doesn't really need to be a whole lot of complexity to this thing. We have known in the way that a refrigerator does what it does We have known how to move heat from one place to another for a very long time. Refrigerators have been around in their current incarnation for a very long time. We've made components more efficient, and there have been one or two improvements upon the design that we generally use, right? Going from freezer on top to freezer drawer. I like that because you're not pouring the air out of the container when you open it as much. Ultimately, I think they should all be shaped like a deep freezer, but anyway, I digress. The last major practical advancement in refrigerator technology, in my opinion, is the ice dispenser and filtered water, because those are things that I would go to the refrigerator for, and I can now get them without having to open the refrigerator or the freezer. And that's really great, because then the cold stays in there. More accurately, then the heat can't get in. Okay, lest we not forget, cold is not a thing. It is simply the absence of heat, the absence of thermal energy. So yeah, internet-capable refrigerators. You're adding way too much. I'm not going to call people lazy necessarily, but man, I'm lazy, and I think that's too much. Even just from the perspective of, okay, it buys my milk for me or whatever it is, right? And anything else, if it wasn't just that, if it wasn't related to the contents, just get an app. You don't need your refrigerator to have a touchscreen and all this intelligence and all these components. Because here's another thing that really, really bites about this. Number one, I guarantee you that the area that those electronics occupy is not insulated anywhere near as well as the rest of the wall that it's mounted into or door. So it makes it less efficient as a refrigerator. The thing that it is, the thing that it's supposed to do, it is now less good at doing. Is it marginal? I don't know. I say no because it's unnecessary. Also, you're introducing way too many points of failure. There are way too many things that can go wrong in this particular chain of components. So, why? Why add that? Why give yourself the extra expense, the extra headache for what is really a super, super trivial convenience, in my opinion? We do not need internet-capable refrigerators. We don't. Now, one could argue we don't need a lot of things, particularly a lot of home automation things. That might be true. But I don't think that, and again, opinion here, I don't think that ruining your refrigerator is worth that whatever quality of life improvement that has. I cannot imagine it having one that is worth doing that thing. So anytime I talk about this, it's obviously going to be very subjective. Not everybody is going to agree on what is useful, what is necessary, what looks good, what works well. There's always going to be some nuance, and that's okay. I would like to think that most of us kind of stay in a pretty reasonable range. Standard deviation is kind of low in that regard, particularly among tinkerers, I think. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe you all have internet-capable refrigerators, and I'm the idiot, but somehow I don't think so. I haven't had to worry about whether or not my internet was out in order to get food. So anyway, moving forward. Oh, wait a minute. No, not moving forward. Staying right here for just a moment, because I did not mention the biggest thing, my arch nemesis. Cloud integration. Third-party services. You are relying on companies that get bored, and sometimes malicious. You are relying on nature to not interrupt your plans. And let me tell you, nature doesn't care. And you are relying again on more parts, more components. You're adding complexity. We don't need to do that. In addition, so this is where somebody could say, why don't you get up and turn on the light switch, right? But I do walk around. I do get exercise. I do go outside. I even ride a bicycle from time to time. So, it's not, I don't get up and turn on or turn off the light switch. I don't avoid that because I'm lazy. I avoid it because I feel a little bit more at ease and maybe even a little more important as I walk around my home and the lights just come on for me. My family is so used to this situation that when they go to other people's houses, they will walk into a dark bathroom and shut the door before realizing that the light is not going to come on for them. And I think that's fantastic because I would love to see a world in maybe 5, 10 years, possibly, where pretty much every new construction house and many houses are retrofitted with smart technology for this very reason. It's pretty reliable technology. We've been using it for a long time. Even microwave sensors in motion detectors. That's been a thing in home alarm systems for decades. So, and but then we go back to do you need to add internet to it in order for it to do these things? Do you want to access it from your smartphone? Do you really need to? And if you want to, that's okay. But let me suggest an alternative. Rather than using somebody else's app, maybe host your own control panel of sorts and then access that remotely. Figure out how to securely access your Home Assistant if you have Home Assistant, which if you don't and you're not aware of it, you should check out Home Assistant because it's a great way to have local control of all of your automation. And it has tons and tons and tons of support and add-ons and nifty little tricks and doodads. It can be as easy or as complex, or I should say as rudimentary or as complex as you want. It's really awesome. And you don't need to, get on the internet to turn off the light that's 6 feet away from you. Now, again, the remote light for the thing, the light 6 feet away from you might seem excessive to some people. So here's a fun thing that I've thought about. The last time, and it happens from time to time, it really actually happens from time to time that when I'm talking to somebody about my home automation, about my smart home, they're like, oh, you're too lazy to flip a light switch, huh? And I'm like, oh, you too lazy to get up and change the channel on your TV, asshole? Because most of us use remotes, right? It's the same kind of thing. Eventually, convenience becomes cheap and then becomes an embedded part of our life, improving quality of life for everybody. Oh, by the way, I do cuss. I'm going to try not to. I'll try to at least keep it to a dull roar. I obviously don't do it very often in the scripted videos, but I may, from time to time, slip on here. Anyway, so, yeah, it can be a gray area as to whether or not something is necessary or worth having. Let's put it that way, because you almost can, true, false, necessary, but much less easy is whether or not it's worth the thing. I do enjoy the automation that I have. It makes me feel more comfortable. It gives me peace of mind, and that is something everybody should have. I want to go back. I would really love to see new construction houses set up with centralized relay systems again, and for everybody, so that we can just plug in these smart devices and have smart homes as just sort of default. That would be great. The people who built Epcot would smile from beyond the grave, because we will have actually done something that is not only sort of in their vein, but also practical, you know, to some degree. Some things are impractical. And impractical, I'm not necessarily against impractical if it's not wasteful. I don't like wasteful. I don't like disposable. But, you know, I appreciate some Rube Goldberg machines from time to time. I appreciate doing a thing because it might be a neat thing to try. I do that all the time. So, you know, that's okay too. I'm not telling you not to do things that are, you know, maybe overly complicated because they make you smile, because again, it's improving your quality of life. So that's fine. That's absolutely fine. I'm not going to tell you you're wasting your time if you're having fun. You cannot waste time if you're happy. That time can't be wasted. Because what else do you want from it? Right? And if you say, well, I want to accumulate something, you're only accumulating that so that you can be happy later. So kind of nullifies the argument. Anyway, going off on deeply philosophical things, let's go ahead and dig a little deeper, because my next topic is AI. But before I talk about that, there was actually something else I was going to talk about. I was going to talk about the subreddit, the Shelly USA subreddit, specifically, that I'm probably not going to be answering questions on here. If you would like to ask me a question, feel free to comment on the YouTube video or send me an email at smartercircuits@gmail.com, and maybe I'll answer your question on the podcast. But that's not the only thing I wanted to talk about with the Reddit. Shelly is currently running a contest. Now, Shelly does not pay me. I have no contracts, no agreements whatsoever with Shelly. I'm going to be entering this contest, which is why I'm sharing this information. And if you have Shelly devices and you're a tinkerer and you're using those Shelly devices for potentially unique things, well, you could have a chance to win some more Shelly devices. So they're giving away, well, I shouldn't say giving away, the prizes are gift cards of varying values. For first place, you get a $1,000 gift card, Shelly gift card. For second place, you get a $750 Shelly gift card. For third place, you get a $500 Shelly gift card. And for 3 honorable mentions, they will get $250 Shelly gift cards. So I think that's kind of neat, because I would love to have even the 250 one. The 250 one would get you quite a few Plus devices, or even a couple Pro devices of significant size. The Pro 4PM, I think, is their most expensive thing at $106, $107, something like that. So you could pick up one of those. You could pick up a $48 5-port Ethernet switch, DIN mountable Ethernet switch. They have those, and they're really neat. They're also the same shape as the Pro 4PM. So I think that's kind of neat as well. It's very well packaged. Okay, now I will move on. And sorry about the spring noise. I will have this fixed, I promise, next week. AI. We are adding AI to everything. I go on Amazon and I see the summarization of the comments from below, which was there before this thing. Now it's telling you that it's AI generated based on the content, the comments. And why? Why? You absolutely 100% do not need to waste the computational power to do that specific task, Amazon, when the Levenstein distance algorithm exists. Read a book. Anyway, that's my opinion about that. AI does not need to be embedded in everything. There are things that it does need to be embedded in. I love Copilot. Love it. Didn't think I would. Thought I was going to hate it. I love it. Why? Because it's autocomplete on steroids. It will autocomplete an entire basic function for me, so I don't have to write the whole thing, or even have to go through tabbing through the autocomplete and putting in things, words here and there. If you're a software engineer, you know what I'm talking about. If you're not, well, just kind of, wait a few moments. That is the perfect place for it. I don't think that writing is a good place for it, because Grammarly managed to be fantastic at checking your grammar and spelling pre-AI, and again, for much less computational power. That is one of the reasons that AI exists. And because it's not AI. It's not AI. It's predictive text on super steroids. It is not intelligent. It doesn't know what it's talking about. It doesn't know what it's saying. It doesn't know what it just said. It cannot comprehend the definition or meaning of the words that it is spitting out. Therefore, it is not intelligent. I will absolutely have, if somebody would like to have that argument with me, I will absolutely have that argument with you. I think that would be fun. Just let me know. Anyway, so that's, yeah. There's so many places where, I mean, and I've seen hype things before, right? Most people don't even know that, like, we've been doing this hype thing for a very long time. One of the reasons why the company Motorola was called Motorola was because everybody was using the Ola last thing, Victrola, for instance. And so, which is kind of why Motorola is Motorola, because it's the Victrola of your motor vehicle. So it's a Motorola. Anyway, fun facts there. Hype has always been around, but man, I really do feel like it's more prolific with this whole AI thing than it ever has been before. And so many unnecessary use cases. Does it work for those things? Yeah, I would argue not that much better than the previous systems we had for those things, save for the auto-completing code kind of thing. I absolutely love it there, right? I don't even mind it as a help desk kind of thing, because it can have a referential knowledge base. I don't like it being customer support, because I want to talk to somebody who has judgment and maybe even empathy, heaven forbid. But as far as like referential support, absolutely. I have no problem with that at all. I have no problem with a thesaurus that can suggest things to me actively. Cool. Excellent. An encyclopedia that turns the page to what I need and reads aloud for me. Excellent. I like that. Personal assistants. Great idea. So long as they can actually do things like update a calendar. This does not seem to be a thing that people are doing right away, and I don't know why. That's the thing that makes more sense. Making more exciting NPC dialogue in video games. I'm cool with that. I am absolutely cool with that, because there are some terrible, terrible, terrible interactions out there, and you could probably make a little bit more procedural content that didn't feel as procedural using this technology. I'd be okay with that, because again, human beings are ultimately doing the thing, and that's what automation of any kind is supposed to assist, not replace. It replaces your hands when you're touching something hot, perhaps, or when you're going into a dangerous place, perhaps. Maybe we want machines to do that, but we still want the human there overseeing the thing that's happening. We want the George Jetson. George Jetson, if you do not know, so first off, if you don't know that the Jetsons is a cartoon, not sure why you wouldn't know that, but maybe younger folks wouldn't, not sure. But it was a cartoon. If you don't know about it, check it out. It's a little dated, but it's great, because it shows a world in which your average man, George Jetson, works 2 hours a week for Stanley Sprocket, pushing a button so that his machine will do a thing, and he just kind of sits there and does that. And then he comes home in his flying car to a high-rise apartment with a maid and the biggest entertainment system in the universe, because it's available, because everybody has a high-rise apartment with a maid and the biggest entertainment center in the universe. And It's totally fine. I think that we should do more of that. That's why we built these machines. That's why we built all this automation. Anyway, I've gone off on a lot of philosophical tangents here. Normally, I say normally, this is the second episode, but what I would like to do is keep these to 45 minutes to an hour. I'm probably going to cut this one a little bit shorter than that here momentarily, just because I also don't want to force it and just sort of be boring if I'm not already. So the length of these is going to vary. I apologize. I will try my best to keep it between 45 and 60 minutes. I did want to talk about a couple other things. I wanted to talk about project spotlights. I will be doing project spotlights. I would love to share to everybody in the community what members of the community have done. So that, again, there's a larger pool of concepts, ideas, approaches, techniques for you to pull from to improve your project technique or approach. So I will be doing that. I have a couple in mind already, and I could kind of talk about them. I could bring up the website of it and just kind of wing it, but I wanted to do a little bit more than that. I wanted to write down some keynotes and stuff so that I was giving them due respect and exposure, and also being true to whatever their project is. So I'm not going to promise next episode, but I will try to have it. At some point, I will definitely be doing project spotlights. So, and I hope that everybody is okay with the way that I'm doing this. If you're not, let me know. I can't change things I don't know are wrong or unliked. And if you like it, let me know. I don't expect that all of my viewers well, I guess they wouldn't be listeners if they didn't listen to this, but I don't expect all of my viewers to dig the podcast. That's fine. I don't expect all my podcast listeners to dig the scripted videos. That's fine as well. I just didn't want to separate the podcast from the main channel because then YouTube doesn't give me any credit. It splits the credit between the channels, and that would right now hurt me. Maybe later I may create a second channel for stuff like this, but for the moment, this is going to be the way it is. So if you don't like these episodes, just, don't watch them. That doesn't offend me at all. Yeah. What else was going to... Oh, one last thing I want to bring up, because this is kind of going along with the whole inside information into the channel thing that I talked about last week. I am working on a few videos. A few, as a matter of fact. So I'm working on some more Shelly videos because I have a lot of Shelly kit, and I want to show it off, and I want to test it. And it's not that I'm inundated with other things as much as it is I'm not exactly sure what I want to do with all of those devices, and I don't want to just do, again, I don't want to force it. I want it to be something that I actually really enjoy, because otherwise you'll know I'm not enjoying it. Or, to be fair, something that I really don't enjoy, because, some of you might enjoy watching me not enjoy it. But, I don't want to do boring stuff with it, is the point. So I will be getting back to some Shelly videos. I am also contemplating a couple other videos, especially because it is so close. I'm not sure that I will do this, but I am going to talk about something that I'm working on. This is the thing that I've been wanting to spit out for the last 2 minutes. I am doing my Christmas light display on my house that I have not done in a few years. Mostly because by the time I think to do it, I'm too busy on other things. It's too late in the season, so on and so forth. Back in the day, I was a huge computer Christmas guy. I was one of those guys that was using parallel ports to do the computer Christmas automation. I talked about that last episode. So I really got into that stuff, and then I kind of didn't for a little while. Again, life stuff, and I don't like the cold. But I've decided I am going to set them up earlier than it gets too cold for me to be out there. So I'm actually putting them up now. And I will not turn them on until after Thanksgiving, but I am going to go ahead and put them up. And I was thinking about doing a couple videos or a video about Christmas lights. I'm not sure if I'm going to, though. But the thing that I'm working on that I think might be cool is I found some WS2812 Christmas lights. So they are addressable RGB LEDs that I can use my Raspberry Pi Picos for. So I'm doing things and stuff with them. And I developed a little script that does a few different modes. You know, it does like just sort of random colors, and then it changes them all at once every few seconds or second, whatever you set. It can change one at a time randomly, which is actually kind of a neat effect. It can twinkle. It can also do like this, I call it like a raindrop thing, because it's a bunch of lights that they'll light up randomly and then fade out. And then I have what I call the firefly mode, which is like that, but only like maybe one or two that come on at a time. So it's kind of like fireflies blinking, you know. That was actually the first thing I wanted to do, because I want to put these lights through my bushes and see if I can make it look like, you know, little, just, I don't know. I guess they wouldn't really be lightning bugs if they're multicolored, but maybe multicolored lightning bugs. Who knows? Winter dwelling, multicolored lightning bugs. Why not? Fireflies, whatever you want to call them. So I just wanted to tell everybody about that. They are on Amazon. I have a link I will put in the YouTube video description, affiliate link, of course, because money and stuff. What did I do? Did I close it? Here, well, I'll just reopen it. I can't remember what the price was. Let me look real quick. You get 5 16-foot strings with 50 LEDs on each. They're basically just enamel coated bare wire. So they're a little bit kind of weird to work with because they're springy, because it's solid core wire. And it's also like feels delicate, but it's not as delicate as it feels. But they're still worth it. If you want addressable Christmas lights, this is the way to go. Okay, so not cheap. I probably paid too much for these. Maybe not. I don't know. If you know, let me know in the comments. They were $34. It was $34 for 5 16-foot, 16.4 foot, 50 LED, and they're the WS2812Bs. So they're the 5 volt. And they're great. I like them a lot. They're super bright. Of course, they're WS2812Bs. So if you're familiar with that particular RGB LED, that's what this is. And they are weatherproof. So they're really neat. And I may or may not do a video on them, but I wanted to let people know, because I did not know such a thing existed until I looked at that. I thought that I was going to have to like fashion my own from some of those, you know, sticky strip ones that they sell or something to that effect. Anyway, that is all I have for today's episode. Comments, suggestions, corrections, questions, let me know in the comments. Send me an email. Send me smoke signals. Something. And until next week, thank you. Thank you for your minutes. We have a limited number of them, and you decided to give some of yours to me. I will always appreciate that. That's really, really cool. I sincerely mean that every time I say it, every video, every episode, whatever. Because it is really cool that you're here. Thank you. And I do hope you'll join me next week as I continue babbling about smarter circuits.